On January 30, 1933, Adolf Hitler became Chancellor of Germany. This event marked a seismic shift in the history of the Weimar Republic, Germany's first democratic government. But how did Hitler, a man with no official political power, ascend to the head of state? It took just 1 month, 3 weeks, 2 days, 8 hours, and 40 minutes for Hitler to transform Germany's democracy into a totalitarian regime. Even those 40 minutes had a pivotal role to play. Let's dive deeper into the story and understand how Hitler dismantled the German democratic system. Before 1933, Hitler had already proven himself a shrewd and strategic politician. By eliminating rivals and bending the political system to his will, he had mastered the art of paralyzing legal processes. Hitler's influence grew steadily through the 1920s, especially after the failed coup in November 1923 known as the Bierhof Putsch, where Hitler attempted to overthrow the Weimar Republic. Though the coup failed, it marked his entry into the German political arena. Sentenced to 5 years in prison, Hitler used his time behind bars to write Mein Kampf, which outlined his radical ideology and plans for Germany. He realized that violent revolution wouldn't secure his power. Instead, legal means would allow him to claim control of the state. He understood the inherent flaws in democracy, which he would later exploit to consolidate his power. Hitler's strategy hinged on exploiting the democratic system that he sought to destroy. According to the Weimar Constitution, the state was supposed to reflect the will of the people. Hitler knew that, legally, he could seize power if he could convince the people to support him. Through a combination of skillful propaganda and political maneuvering, Hitler's Nazi party gained significant ground. By the July 1932 elections, the Nazis held 37% of the seats in parliament, still not a majority, but a strong base of support. However, Hitler's political genius lay in his ability to convince others, including conservative elite, that he was the key to stabilizing Germany. He argued that his popularity was a reflection of the people's will, even though his party held only a minority of seats. In the months leading up to his appointment, Hitler faced opposition from both President von Hindenburg and other political rivals. Despite his electoral success, Hitler remained a threat to the existing political order. Hindenburg, who had the power to dismiss chancellors, was deeply distrustful of Hitler. Yet, in January 1933, Hitler was appointed chancellor, largely due to a series of political backroom deals. It seemed that the political establishment had no choice but to appease him. On January 31, 1933, just 1 day after becoming chancellor, Hitler dissolved the Reichstag German parliament and called for new elections, promising to drain the political swamp. Despite these bold moves, Hitler's position was precarious. His party had suffered losses in previous elections, and Hindenburg still had the power to remove him. On February 27, 1933, the Reichstag building was set on fire, a pivotal moment that would allow Hitler to claim total control. Using the fire as a pretext, Hitler blamed the communists and presented it as an attempted coup. He convinced President Hindenburg to pass the Reichstag Fire decree, which suspended civil liberties and gave the police sweeping powers to arrest and detain political opponents. The fire created a climate of fear that enabled Hitler to eliminate his political rivals. In the aftermath, the communists were banned, and many social democrats were arrested. This set the stage for the March 5, 1933 elections, where the Nazi Party would solidify its hold on power. On March 5, 1933, Germany went to the polls in what would be the last multi-party election of the Weimar Republic. Hitler's enemies were either jailed or silenced, and the Nazi Party secured 44% of the vote, a significant gain. With the communists banned from the elections and the Social Democrats weakened, Hitler was poised to form a coalition government with conservative forces. Just a few weeks later, on March 23rd, the Reichstag passed the Enabling Act, which granted Hitler dictatorial powers. The act allowed him to bypass parliament and make laws independently, essentially ending Germany's democracy. With this move, Hitler completed his takeover of the German state. On March 21, 1933, Hitler and President Hindenburg appeared together in Potsdam, signaling a new era for Germany. In a carefully choreographed display, Hitler bowed to Hindenburg, signaling respect for the old order while simultaneously undermining it. The next day, a law was passed granting amnesty to Nazi criminals, further consolidating Hitler's power. Soon after, concentration camps were established, and political opponents were rounded up. By the end of March, Hitler had effectively neutralized all opposition and set the stage for the totalitarian regime that would shape Europe for the next 12 years. The rise of Adolf Hitler is a sobering reminder of how democracy can be manipulated and destroyed from within. Hitler's rapid rise to power, aided by his manipulation of legal processes, propaganda, and political alliances, shows how fragile democratic systems can be in the face of a determined authoritarian leader. As we face new challenges to democracy in the 21st century, the lessons from this dark period in history are more relevant than ever. This breakdown not only makes the historical events easier to follow, but also emphasizes the chilling speed with which Hitler dismantled democracy. It invites the reader to reflect on the lessons that can be drawn from this period. Adolf Hitler is one of the most recognizable and controversial figures of the 20th century. Born on April 20, 1889, in Braunau, Austria, Hitler developed an early interest in painting, but was unsuccessful in that school. In 1919, he moved to Germany and joined the Nazi Party, eventually becoming its leader during the 1920s. In 1923, Hitler attempted a coup in Germany, which failed, leading to his imprisonment. While in prison, he wrote his book Mein Kampf, where he outlined his ideas on racism and anti-Semitism. In 1933, Hitler was appointed Chancellor of Germany. He used the Reichstag Fire as an opportunity to dismantle Germany's democratic institutions and establish a totalitarian regime. After President Hindenburg's death in 1934, Hitler consolidated power and became the absolute leader of Germany. Hitler aimed to expand Germany's territory in foreign policy and, in 1939, invaded Poland. Starting World War II, the war lasted from 1939 to 1945 and caused the death of millions worldwide. The Nazis initiated the Holocaust, leading to the deaths of about 6 million Jews. As Germany began to lose the war in 1945, Hitler committed suicide in his bunker in Berlin. After his death, Germany surrendered, and the war ended. Hitler's legacy continues to be central in discussions about racism, fascism, and totalitarianism. Nazi ideology and actions led to one of the darkest periods in world history.